If you filed an extension back in April, October 15th is not a suggestion. It was a wall, and it is closer than you think. So, back in spring, I did tell you that an extension buys you a time to file, not a time to pay. And today, we're going to go ahead and turn that breathing room that you've had into a plan. By the end, you're going to have a week by week checklist of exactly what you need to know to and what to do first. If this is your first time here, my name is Shin and I am an AFSP tax preparer here in sunny Houston, Texas. And this is the T on taxes, where I give you the T on all things to do with your taxes. So go ahead and get ready and let's talk about your extension that you filed back in April. So first, we want to go ahead and talk about how the extensions just give you 6 more months to file. They never give you an extension to pay. I did discuss this in my last video because any balances that were due or what you think might be due should have been owed back in April. If you felt or you normally owe money, you want to make sure that you went ahead and pre-planned for that. Now, don't worry. If you paid something and then you finish your return and you file, hey, I overpaid. Don't worry. The IRS is going to give that back to you because when you file your extension, you're going to there's going to be a little box that says, how much did you pay with your extension? And it will give you that money back. If you didn't pay anything, what that means is now you have interest and possibly some penalties that have been quietly running in the background since April, and that's on anything that has been unpaid. Now, you're not going to get that failure to file penalty, but you are going to get that failure to pay penalty still. And if you only paid a little bit, again, you're still going to get some penalties and interest, but it's not going to be as great as if you paid nothing at all. So hopefully you did listen to my last video and you paid something. So the big thing about October 15th is that it now reactivates that failure to file penalty if you don't do anything at all. So if October 15th comes by and you still don't file your tax return, you have now gotten that failure to file penalty and it will revert back to April. It is important that you now finish that return for the previous year on October 15th. Just remember, we're still early. It's not October 15th yet, so this is fixable. You have time. You can start now. So right now we are in early August. So you should be gathering every document that you have, your W-2s that may have come in late, your 1099s that may have come in late, K-1s. I know there's a lot of people out there who got their K-1s late this year because a lot of companies had to file a little bit later and also had to file their extensions a little bit later. And some might even still be hanging out there. You want to get those K-1s in now. Same thing with the brokerage. There were some brokerages because of digital assets that might have run a little bit late. You want to go ahead and get those brokerage statements, those 1099 consolidations down, any mortgage statements, any charitable donations that you did. You want to go ahead and just corral that all together. Your business records, just corral that all together, put it all together, put it in a pile, and then start just organizing it. You want to make sure you're flagging what's missing. If you don't know what's missing, look at your previous return. Go ahead and look at that. If you still don't know it, you're like, okay, is there anything else missing? Look at your calendar for the year. If you had any events and stuff like that, look at that. Just kind of go through month by month in your head. What did you do? And who did you do that with? Go through, if you're in business, you want to look at your profits and see where did you get money from? Or where did you pay money to? Was there anybody who gave you a large amount over 600 that you should have gotten a 1099 from? Most of the time you don't, and that's fine. You can still go ahead and just use your income statement to go ahead and record your income. So that's fine for those 1099s, miscellaneouses, and NECs. But the other 1099s, like the interest, the dividends, the big one that I see a lot of people missing is the health savings accounts. A lot of people tend to take money from their health savings and get distributions, and they completely forget 1099 SAs are the big thing that you're going to go ahead and want to make sure that you get on your tax return, because a lot of people get those distributions, they forget to get that. They're like, oh yeah, the IRS gets that statement, say, hey, you got this money out. They want to make sure that you used all that money for, in fact, what it was supposed to be for, which is health expenses. Now, there are certain people who are of certain ages who can go ahead and use those funds for other things after a certain age, but for now, they should all be for just medical. So again, Withhouse savings, want to make sure you got that. W-2s, 1099s, K-1, brokerage statements, charitable donations, business things. Just want to make sure you get all of those things because fall tends to be very slow for a lot of businesses. So what it's and summertime. So you should be able to go ahead and get all of this together. And again, if you are self-employed, you want to make sure that those books are reconciled. If you need help with that, you can always find a bookkeeper. You can contact me. Just want to find someone who can help you get those books done quickly and as fast as you can. Okay. Now, this is just for the next couple weeks here in August. Now, between mid August and about early September, so the rest of August, you should be getting those rough numbers even before you get anything done. If you know you're going to have to owe money, make sure you are making a payment in here and getting payments in to make sure you can just stop that interest from bleeding on you all over and creating an even bigger balance than it needs to be. You want to make sure that any payments that you're making right now are not going to apply or get um, o- overlapped into your Q3 2026 payment because that's here due on September 15th of 2026. So just make sure you have it marked correctly that you are telling it the IRS that you're paying for 2025 and not your quarterly payment for 2026 because they're starting to take payments for that right now. And then now once you get into mid-September, so once you start getting into that September 15th, you need to start getting your tax return ready. So what you're going to do is you want to go ahead and start drafting your return. You want to make sure that everything is there. Doing this with your preparer, doing this on your own. You want to make sure that it's all there. You want to go ahead and catch any of those easy to miss items as well. So like if your energy credits, did you improve your home with some energy efficient items? Now, there are some things like heaters and AC units that have certain federal requirements to go ahead and get that credit. So make sure that when you did that, hopefully they meet those credits before you try to apply for them. They're not huge credits, but depending on what you got, they can still help lower your taxable liability. Same thing with your dependent care, like childcare or any type of nursing or medical care that you may have done for like your family member, like your parent or another family member, child, anybody, one of your dependents. Also, your education credits, you want to make sure that you don't lose any of your books that you did. All right. So the last thing we're looking at is pretty much here in late September. And I'm hoping early October, at least by October 10th, you should have a complete return. Okay. You should be looking at that and going, okay, yeah, everything is there. Everything's perfect. And the reason I say October 10th is because you want to make sure that when you send it, there's no rejections coming back for something and that it has been accepted. Because if you wait till the very last day on October 15th and your return gets rejected and you don't respond and you respond back the next day, I'm going to tell you right now, you're toast. You're filed late. There's no exceptions to that. The IRS does not give leeway on that, unfortunately, especially in this day with technology. Let's just go ahead and review a little bit of what we're talking about again. Okay, again, if you owe any money and you just can't pay in full, there are payment plans that exist. So you're going to want to go ahead and get on that as soon as you finish your filing and you know the actual amount. You want to go ahead and request that payment plan. You can do that on irs.gov. You can also complete a request for payment plan form when you send your return. I find that the quickest and most efficient way is to file directly with the IRS once you file that return and it gets accepted, to go to the irs.gov and go ahead and apply for the payment. If you go under make a payment, there is an option there that says payment plan. So you can go ahead and do that. The next thing, so if you are still waiting on K1 and it still has not arrived, what you want to do is you want to contact that company directly. You want to contact their finance department and find out what is going on, why they haven't sent you something. You need to contact the people who are in charge of there. If you've gotten a K1 from them previously, just look on that K1 from last year and there will be contact information for you to go ahead and find out like, hey, where's my K1? But if you are in a partnership, you should be getting that K1 now. There should be no delay at all. Also, if you did any disaster area extension, because there are some filers who did have to extend their filing because there were some disasters that went on in the previous year, This is typically a lot for flood areas, hurricane areas. We get that a lot here in Texas. When Harvey did it, it was like a hot mess. If you are in one of those disaster areas, just go ahead and see what your later date is, because there are some later dates for those people. So they're okay. What if you haven't started all, go ahead and that's fine. If you haven't started all, get your stuff still together. Okay. You want to go ahead and get it now. You might just have to rush it a little bit more. You're going to have to rush it. You're going to have to combine all that stuff that I just told you from like August and September. Let's say you are looking at this as September. Let's just go ahead and put you in overdrive mode. Just go ahead and get all your stuff together. And I highly recommend you find a competent tax pro. If you do need help, I do go ahead and provide that service as well. I do virtually, I do it in person if you're here in Texas or in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona. I do both here. I do taxes both here in Phoenix, Arizona, which I'm familiar with Arizona, California. I'm familiar with all of the states. But you want to find a competent tax pro to go ahead and just hand them all the stuff. Say, here's what I got. We're okay with shoe boxes. We're just not okay with shoe boxes on October 14th. So if you want to go ahead and it's September now and you're like, oh my gosh, I got to turn everything next month or even in the next couple weeks, I would go ahead and say, give them the shoebox because giving them something now and paying that extra is better than not having it at all. Just 20 minutes a day. Just put it in your calendar and say, I'm going to spend 20 minutes a day working on getting my taxes completed. 20 minutes a day to go ahead and make sure I've got everything for my taxes to send to my tax pro. And just as long as you have that, you're going to be one step closer to being finished on October 15th with no problems. Okay. Work with your preparer now while their calendars are open. Because I'm telling you right now, the only thing we're doing right now for most of us, if we're not doing bookkeeping or some other type of side work, right now, pretty much most of us are just doing our recertification training because we have to do a proper tax pro is doing their training every year because we are required to have so many continuing education credits to be on top of the tax codes every year. So work with your preparer right now because they're pretty much their calendars are open. Okay. And then if this helped you at all, please subscribe and hit that like button because it helps other people who may need this information. It gets into their feeds a lot better. And I would really appreciate it. That would love you. And of course, I love all my people who are watching this. So, anyways, um, until then, all right, keep on sipping. And you guys have a good day and a good summer. Enjoy the rest of it. Again, you only need 20 minutes a day to go ahead and get that tax plan ready. Bye.